Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Mr. Metin
Karapult from Turkey. At present he lives in Malden.
Yes, please.
Hi.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
I've been to your meeting a couple of times.
Yes.
And just small things is stuck in my mind. I would like to ask that one.
Most welcome. Yes.
I would like to ask how to identify which Muslim she through recording the saying Holy Prophet.
I couldn't comprehend properly.
Yeah. How
I think
the
quality of voice through this microphone or the loudspeaker is not very clear.
Because my English
Will
is
you
not
kindly tell it to him and he will pass on the message.
how to identify
Muslim sect.
Muslim sect through recording the
And this
saying.
one also?
No, this he answered already. This one. Yeah.
Hazur, he says that how we will identify the Jesus when he descends, and what is the historical evidence if he has died.
You see, this question should be addressed to all the Muslim divines and scholars who believe in the re-advent of Jesus Christ. Those who believe that he will descend from heaven bodily, for them perhaps it is not difficult to answer this question. Because they say when he returns from heaven in the broad daylight, everybody will see him and we will know that he is descending from heaven and we recognize him. But the point is, where will he land? Which country? And who will the witnesses? And will they not say that maybe it is a newly scientific device, everything is possible these days, and some machine was invented with wings looking like angels, and some fake person rose and was lifted by the same machine and came at a time when everybody saw it. But also they have to answer a few other questions. The point is how old that man would be. Sometimes you recognize people by their ages. That Jesus which they are expecting to return has to be around 2000 years old. What would be left of him, of his bones and his muscles and fibers and eyes and ears and so on, Allah knows best. Unless he's deep frozen somewhere and suddenly revived and brought back to normal activity after that hibernation of a supreme type, his age would tell. But if that is his age, and normally age is permitted to pass through his body, then what sort of Jesus that would be and how he could help the world of Islam or any other world is unthinkable for me. But if he is frozen deep and he comes back at the same age as the Muslim divines believe he was lifted, then he would be a 33-year-old young man. And all the Muslim divines would reject him. They would say, we were expecting an old gentleman of 2000 years age. You must be a young man from here, picked up and thrown into the heaven by some Americans or British agents and this and that. So we don't accept you. But that is not all there is to it. Recognition is not enough. What he will do, you must go into that as well. According to the Muslim scholars, when he returns, he will not make any attempt to reform the Muslim society of the world. Even he is accepted. Even if he is accepted, he would leave them alone and say, now I am turning, I am going to break all the crosses of the world, because this is my task of the prime importance. So the Muslims of all the countries would be left there awaiting his return, but this task is a gigantic task. You see, to break all the physical crosses, material crosses of the whole world is a huge task. Particularly, he will find it rather difficult in industrialized countries, where at a much faster speed that he breaks the crosses, the Christian world will be rebuilding the crosses and making the crosses, manufacturing the crosses. Maybe at 100,000 times faster they'll do it, lest he should break all the crosses. So he'll go round and round and round the world, all the cathedrals, all the churches, everywhere, and then visit houses. Go to every house, knock at the door or break open and say, come on, bring your crosses, I'm going to break. Can you believe in such a man to be a prophet of God? Have you ever heard of such a thing? So, let us say, after 200 years or when the first generation is already dead, but time is not of importance to Jesus Christ. He has lived in patience for 2,000 years in a solitary imprisonment somewhere. So what is 200 years? Just a mere second. So he will return after finishing the task, let us say. And the Muslims would welcome him of that generation. Thank God you have returned. He said, no, not yet. I have yet to start another expedition of killing the Dajjal with my own hands, with my own sword. And also killing all the kuffar who do not believe in Islam with my breath. With your breath, yes. My breath will be more fiery than that of a python. And you will see, wherever the sight reaches, the breath will reach and burn alive all those who say we do not believe. So another expedition will begin from there on. He will come to England spelling death everywhere he goes. All Europe will be emptied of Christians, and those who will remain alive would be those converted to Islam. So he will travel from place to place, but yet he has to kill Dajjal, which is the prime task. And what is Dajjal? Have you ever thought over this question? Dajjal, according to these mullahs who tell you these things, if you ask them, they will tell you Dajjal is a man of gigantic sizes, one like whom was never even created in stories and fairy tales. He will be so huge that when he stands, his head would be jutted out of the cloud line. And it will be difficult to see him from below. And he will have only one eye. That will be the left eye, which will be big and very powerful. Such sharp sight that he will be able to see through the earth, the buried treasures and oil and metals and things. But the right eye will be totally blind. He will not be able to see anything. So that one-eyed monster would be Dajjal. So he would be traveling on a donkey which will be proportionately as huge as he would be. A huge donkey, between whose ears will be a distance of 105 yards at least. And that donkey would refuse to eat fodder. It would only eat fire, directly fire, and consume huge amounts of fire. Yet it will invite others to travel into his belly. The belly will be provided with openings on both sides. And here I am talking of a hadith. I am not making these stories myself. This is exactly how the ahadith go. It is exactly how the Muslim scholars of today understand this to be. So that donkey is not yet born, unfortunately. So So whom will Jesus kill when he returns? And that Dajjal is not yet born, unfortunately for the Muslim world. Because unless he comes, Jesus would not return anyway. But according to their stories which they tell you, which were not originally stories, which were absolutely fantastic prophecies which came true, not literally but word for word. Whatever the meaning they contained, they were proved to be correct. They were the greatest prophecies ever made by any prophet of Allah. But the mullahs have turned them into stories because they want them to be fulfilled literally. But anyway, according to their story, they will tell you that that donkey would be able to run very fast. It would be able to cover distances of months in hours. And also that strange donkey would be able to swim in the oceans and will not sink. Swim the oceans across to other countries. And from Dajjal, he would bring aid to those poor countries who believe in Dajjal, and food aid in particular. Mountains of wheat and other grains will be loaded on the back of that donkey, and that donkey will swim across the oceans to deliver the aid to those who are under the influence of Dajjal. But it will not help those, even if they are dying at large scale, who deny Dajjal, who are not friendly to Dajjal. So that donkey even swells larger, because the size of donkey you read about cannot carry mountains of wheat, but when it goes to this water, enters the seas, suddenly it swells into a much bigger size, more like a huge ship. But that is not all. The donkey, according to the story, or according to me, when I explain it, according to the greatest of the predictions ever made by a prophet, would also be able to fly. Would fly such long distances as when it takes off from the east, it will land in the west. Because the hadith says his one foot will be in the east and the other will be in the west. Now this is an example. It doesn't mean that he would tear his body apart, because the donkey is too small to put his feet one in the east and the other in the west. It is, at least this should be taken metaphorically by everyone. This means he would fly. He would start from here and jump over across the oceans into the west. And he will carry passengers. They will be provided with comfortable seats. The inside would be lighted. And the fire he eats will not hurt them. Now, what sort of donkey that is? Have you not understood as yet? It is the modern modes of travel. They are all fire-driven, without exception. And they answer to the description of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam so perfectly that one is amazed with the wisdom and glory of that Prophet, who saw in future what was to be invented by man, and whoever was the master of that donkey had to be Dajjal, according to these traditions. A huge man, not physically a man, but sometimes a single man with huge dimensions indicates a people, a large number of people or peoples, not one people only. So his left eye would be so bright he will be able to see underneath the earth. And this is exactly what the Western Christian powers are doing. Even the oil underneath the soil of Saudi Arabia was not discovered by them. It was discovered by the Americans or the British or whoever they were. All the heavy treasures of the earth have been discovered by these people, who have the advantage of speed in their favor. So when the Holy Prophet said that riding that donkey, the Dajjal would conquer the whole world, this came true, exactly. Today, the decisive factor in combat is speed. The faster you can move, the more certainly you are going to emerge as victorious. So the speed will be at the disposal of the Dajjal, according to Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Yet he will let others benefit from that. So when he describes the donkey to be the ride of the Dajjal, at the same time he says that ordinary people would travel by that. And he goes to such fantastic detail that he says that when the donkey would be about to depart, he would announce, "I am going to leave for the next station. Whoever wants to come and join me." And then, giving warnings, he would leave afterwards. So it would be a public mode of transport. So this is the railways, this is the motor cars, this is the planes, this is the ships. So whatever is still understood to be a story, a fairy tale, which no sane man on earth can accept as such, was the greatest of the prophecies ever made by any prophet about the future events. But you believe, you should believe, if you are not an Ahmadi, that no, Jesus would be, the donkey would be a real donkey. And the Dajjal would be a real monster. So Jesus will leave you alone and pay his attention to the search of the Dajjal. Unfortunately, no hadith tells us that Jesus will be provided with a fast mode of travel. He is only going to run about on his own 2 feet. He can't even jump high. He couldn't even jump from the minaret at which he was deposited. So these are his limitations. And the donkey is that fast and that huge. So I really wonder, how would he catch up with the donkey and where? And in one jump he'll go to the west, and poor Jesus Christ, if that is the Jesus we are awaiting, has to be poor Jesus Christ. He will foot it to America, all the way from Pakistan or Saudi Arabia, wherever he is deposited, or let's say Damascus. And when he reaches there, by that time, that donkey would have made many returns to the east and from there to west. And then when the donkey hears, and his sight, is very sharp. He sees underneath the earth. How could he miss Jesus Christ? Haven't you ever seen a television show with the mechanical eyes which, when put on, suddenly begins to see across? So his eye, if at all an eye was born, is described exactly like that mechanical, fictional eye. So Jesus would be, before he landed somehow in America, and why should he be given permission to land in America when he is such a sworn enemy of Christianity, which is attributed to him? The Moonies were refused. The Moon was refused entry into Britain because of the possible damage he could do to the faith of the Christians. But let's see, he is given an entry into United States. The donkey would fly over and reach the other side. So what a game. What a childish imagination. But turn to Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's status, stature, his wisdom, and you suddenly begin to read light in all, begin sense and fantastic reality in these predictions of Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. They have come true, all of them. The Dajjal has conquered the whole world. It has started receding. They have invented all the modes of travel which were indicated in the hadiths which people quote, and the Messiah had to be born before that. Where is he? Why has he not come? He has come, he has taken up the cudgel for Islam. He is fighting the battle, he is breaking the cross. Not literally, because literal application of these ahadith are impossible anyway. They're most absurd things to have happened. They're against the honor of a prophet to be attributed to him. But yet he has another task to perform. Unfortunately, the story is not over as yet. He has to leave the Muslims awaiting for another 200 years, maybe or more, in search of swines. Now that will be his special hobby in those days. He will say, as yet I have not finished my task. I must kill all the pigs in the world. Literally. So he will visit sties, other, farms where they are raised, and go to the jungles, river banks, and he will kill every swine with his own hand. There are millions of swines, if not billions, in the world. So how long will it take? And he will have to cover all the distances on foot. Because I have not read any hadith indicating that he will be provided to a God a special power to move fast. His breath, of course, will move fast, but not he himself. Do you believe in this? You must. But the way these predictions should be believed in, giving, bring to the world the honor of Muhammad Rasulullah, his greatness, his wisdom, not otherwise. So this is in short the Ahmadiyya message, and I hope you have understood it. Thank you.